So you may be wondering what Carolyn and I are doing here, sitting in these chairs underneath our two ferns. We decided to do something a little different today, to let our, in quotation, sermon be a conversation between the two of us and thereby with all of you about spiritual practices of gratitude. We thought it might be comforting to have a format that was a little less formal, a little more free form.
So, Chris, why did you want to do the service on gratitude?
Thanks, Carolyn.
I know you're grateful
I
for
could
me.
not have done that on purpose. I think that I have to include, as part of my answer to that, an acknowledgement that some of us are still hurting and angry and upset over what happened with the election, and that it's perfectly reasonable to think that some of us may have been re-traumatized by what we've seen with the violence and the bullying that we've seen since then, by watching Trump choose people with a history of misogyny, racism, and other forms of bigotry for some of the highest posts in our land. And that is not okay. And we have our work cut out for us if we're going to prevent them from doing the harm they will otherwise do. And so it's completely understandable if some of us are still feeling fear, hurt, anger. The thing is, it can be hard to reconnect with that which sustains us, that for which we are grateful when we're feeling these other terrible things. And yet there's this paradox that if we can reconnect with gratitude, that may help us move through these emotions, or at least channel them in directions that help us take healthy actions. Now, I say all of that just to acknowledge that as we have this discussion about practices of gratitude, that if any of you are sitting out there today and you find yourself thinking, I just can't go there right now, that's okay. That is perfectly understandable, and I hope what we have to say may help later on. So, I wanted to have this service even before we knew what would happen, because practicing gratitude can help us at exactly times like these. And as you remember, about a year and a half ago, I guess it was, you and I did a adult education class on practices of gratitude, and I enjoyed that so much it got me curious. And being a science geek, I went and did, researched academic articles on what we know about practicing gratitude. And what I found out is that we know a whole lot, and that it benefits us in lots and lots and lots of ways. And so I got excited about it, and I wanted to do something in a worship service where more people could hear about this. So I don't have time to go into all the ways that practicing gratitude can benefit us today, but you don't have to do what I did to find out more. You can do a simple Google search, and it'll bring up lots and lots of good information. Here's just a few examples. Practicing gratitude increases feelings of happiness. It improves physical and mental health, reduces blood pressure, and increases our productivity. One study even found that people who practice gratitude were rated as more physically attractive by their peers. It's true. So get practicing. One thing, finally, that I wanted to point out that the research has shown is that it's not the attitude of gratitude, as we say, it's the practice itself. It's the doing. The attitude follows the doing. So whatever the spiritual practice might be, and we'll give you some examples later, but let's say it's journaling about what I'm grateful for today, it's the actual act of journaling that benefits us.
Yes.
So Carolyn, tell us about some of your personal gratitude practices.
So my gratitude practice started at a time of adversity in my life. I was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago, and I'm fine now. I just want to make sure everybody knows I'm fine. I didn't say that in the first service.
And we're grateful for that.
So the church was a huge support then, as always. But it was November. I remember it was November 4th of 2013, and I was on Facebook at the time, as I am now, and a lot of people were doing something called 30 Days of Gratitude. So that became an integral part of my spiritual practices, and I just keep building upon it. One idea that I like is the idea of grateful seeing. So it's so easy to find things in your life, or in my life, that are not going well, that are wrong, that are hurtful. And with the gratitude practice, it helps me to have grateful seeing. So looking instead, even in dark times, for what is going right and building upon that. So I keep it really simple because I tend to make things way too complex in my life. I got a new journal this year, and I put it out on my table. And every day for the month of November, I just write down the date, and I write down 1, 2, 3. And I don't have to come up with them right away. But hopefully throughout the day, I'll find 3 things. The thing I added this year was I put a shout out on Facebook for Gratitude Buddies, and several people responded to just journey with me every day, and it's been really neat, and it's also held me accountable to know that people were hopefully looking for mine, and I was looking for theirs, and just multiplied the gratitude. One of the cool stories was I have a cousin that lives up in North Texas that I haven't seen. We're the same age, and we haven't seen each other since we were about 18, and she's one of my gratitude buddies, and I reached out to her and I said, hey, let's get together at Christmas. It's been too long. So that's another wonderful thing. So I like calling this whole accountability gratitude and community. We do everything in community here, so you can do gratitude and community too. And with the events that happened last week, we were wanting to respond to that. So, even in hard situations, if we make mistakes or people hurt us or really harsh things happen, instead of looking only at the negative in those situations, the gratitude practice helps you to look at the lessons that you can learn and, your response to adverse situations. How can you become a better person? So, as Chris has pointed out, there's a lot of resources on the web. So if you Google gratitude practices, you can find a lot of resources. So one, I want to point out a woman named Helen Russell. I don't even think she's a minister or anything. She's just a layperson like me. Kind of outlined her gratitude practice, and it's like a 9-point practice. Commit. It's really important, like Chris said, not just have an attitude of gratitude, but commit to the practice. That's transformative. Begin. Write it down. And I like the idea of feeling it. So like with the pictures, the photographs that Chris has posted, let the feelings come over you, whether they're positive or negative. Don't hurry the process. Choose a set time of day. I'm a morning person, so I do mine in the morning. And the present moment gratitude, so things can be going bad, whatever, but it brings me back to the present moment. Sharing the gratitude is part of the gratitude buddies. And just like with exercise, don't stop once you start to see some results. Keep it going. And obviously allow yourself to be human. I don't expect myself every day to have all this gratitude. If you have a bad day, you can always start over the next day. So Chris, how did you get started with the gratitude practice?
Well, I got started my very first year in seminary. They had us do what was basically an internship, 8 hours a week with a local nonprofit. And I did mine with a place called Family Elder Care. And one of the things that they had me do is set up these conference calls on Friday where I would actually call out to elderly, disabled, mostly African American women who were homebound. So what the call was designed to do was to bring them into this conference call so that we could create community among them, and I would usually read them a poem or something. And I was so blessed by what I experienced with those women, because when they said they were grateful for another day, they meant it. And rather than dwelling on the fact that they were near the end of their lives, or the physical pain they were suffering, or the oppression that they had been through, they always turned the conversation back toward gratitude. Well, at the same time, the seminary had us do what was called a beauty walk, where we took a camera out with us, and we were supposed to take pictures of things that we found beautiful. So I started taking those kinds of photographs, and then I started putting them on Facebook. Well, a couple of my ladies on the Friday calls had friended me on Facebook, and so then if I got on the Friday call and I hadn't posted any pictures, I got into trouble. So they held me accountable for keeping up my gratitude practice. And that has been really wonderful for me, because what I find is having the camera lens with me forces me to focus in on things that I would have otherwise just walked right by, and so I can stop and observe the beauty and feel the gratitude for it. Carolyn, when we did the class, you used a term I'm really interested in. I want to ask you, what does it mean to be transformed by conscious gratitude?
So I am the opposite of a salesman or a saleswoman or a salesperson. I'm bad at selling things, but I wish I could sell you gratitude or what it's done for me. I can make a testimonial, but it's true. So my main spiritual practice is meditation, Buddhist meditation along lines like Pema Chodron and Thich Nhat Hanh. So obviously it's an opportunity to wake up. It's a simple way to wake up. It's wonderful. Gratitude anchors me in the present moment. It helps me to change from always expecting and wanting more to contentment and peace, and to move from dissatisfaction to appreciation for what is. One more resource I want to share that I've also incorporated this year from the web is gratefulness.org, gratefulness.org. You can get a daily quote, and they're just wonderful quotes you can get every day to jumpstart your gratitude practice. So, Chris, what's another way you practice gratitude?
Yeah, well, besides being a science geek, I'm a computer nerd. So a while back, I started just in the little notes application on my phone, typing in each morning 3 different people or things that I was grateful for, and then that syncs across all my computers so I can go back and look at it. And so I've been doing this for a couple of years, and I found I was repeating myself, and that was okay. And now I've found that sometimes I don't even list 3 more things because it feels so good just to scroll through all those pages and to realize how much I have to be grateful for. And I tell you, the last couple of weeks, my fingers have been tired from scrolling. So that brings us, we want to invite you into an example of practicing gratitude with us. And so we're going to start. Carolyn mentioned meditation. We're going to start with a meditation on gratitude. So I invite you now to close your eyes. Close your eyes and bring your attention to your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, in and out. Notice how your breath moves in and out without your having to do anything. Breathe in and out, in and out. Now in just a moment, as we breathe in and out together, I invite you on the inhalation to say the words "thank you" silently to yourself, to remind yourself of the gift of breath and life. We'll do this 5 times. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, in and out, in and out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now I invite you into a moment of silence as we continue our breathing together. And in that silence, I invite you to think of 3 more things for which you are grateful. It could be people in your life, favorite places, the beauty of nature, whatever inspires gratitude in you. Then after the moment of silence, I will invite you to speak your 3 gratitudes aloud if you wish, and or to write them on the Post-it notes we have provided, and you can place them, if you wish, on the windows in the foyer that overlook the courtyard. They're just to the left as we go out. Now let us enter into that moment of grateful silence together.